This is one of the ones I can't think of a pithy opening to. So let's just get into it. I played a video game called White Shadows, and it's good, but a lot of subtext in that one word, just with the way I said it. So what is this? Well, this visual presentation, and honestly, even a little bit theming wise, it is 2D. Everything's 3D rendered in it, but it is basically Limbo meets BioShock, with a little sprinkling of Animal House, not Animal House, Animal Farm. Animal House. That would have been a very different game. Little sprinkling of Animal Farm on top of it. You play a bird, a young bird, and in this society made up of animals, that the birds are basically designated scapegoats. Whenever anything goes wrong, the birds get blamed. People are sick, plague birds, kind of thing. And there's sort of a story to it. It's kind of a 2D walking simulator. It's not quite that. There is like some sort of platforming aspects to it. I'll come back to that. But the way that it tells its story is basically you navigating this character through this sort of steampunk-ish retrofuturist setting, which is where the BioShock influence really feels like it comes in. And basically, like, as you see more of it, the story of this place becomes evident the more of it you see. And that is an interesting way to tell a story, for sure. But it is pretty close to a 2D walking simulator. The extent of challenges or platforming, which you technically do, but like the controls are very loose. The jump is kind of floaty and doesn't feel very precise. And the movement is not particularly sharp or crisp or responsive. So while there are segments where like you could feasibly die and it literally just sends you back a couple of seconds, where you can die or hit obstacles, or not fail to get out, you could fail to get out of the way of something, or stuff like that. It's all pretty fundamental and basic. There are a handful of puzzles, most of which are pretty evident as soon as you like see the layout of the setting. Like, oh, okay, well, you just expect me to do this. Got it. So it's not challenging. This is definitely narrative driven. Here's the thing about that though. The narrative, while it is not unevocative, and the atmosphere is actually quite good on this game, it needed to, I think, either be a little more vague or a little more specific, and it kind of split the difference, which I think was the worst way to go. Now, again, I want to stress this doesn't make the game bad, but I'll try and explain my issue here. So we have this industrialized setting where the birds are very mistreated, and the big takeaway, at least so far as I was able to parse, doesn't really seem to be much deeper than prejudice and scapegoating is bad, which, yeah, I agree, but is also kind of a shallow take. If there's more going on than that, then I didn't really get it. The thing was, if I didn't feel inclined to read more meaning than that into it, because it felt a little bit too specific to feel more open-ended and interpretable. So this is what I mean by saying like this needed to either be more specific or more generalized. If it was more generalized, then I think if it was presented in a way that led to multiple interpretations of what it was saying or what its point was, I think that would have helped, because it could just be a little bit more of a mood piece, like a little bit like Gris was, just in terms of like immersing you in a setting and letting you feel the feelings you have from it. But it feels like it is telling a few too many specifics for that to really land. But it's not specific, or at least it's not in depth enough for it to be a really particularly scathing thing, because it is this broad thing of like, yes, prejudice and scapegoating are bad. Yeah, I know. So if it got more granular and it got more detailed and it got more specific and it was about something a lot more precise than this general notion, then I think that could have worked. But it doesn't do either. And as I said, I'm part of the reason I'm really zeroing in on this aspect that doesn't quite measure up is because the mechanics and the game feel are fine. Like, they're fine and they're serviceable, but they're a little loose and they're not especially engaging. Like, the story and the mood feels like what we are supposed to be here for, but it's not quite hitting the nail on the head well enough to really work. Or, as I said, it could have just been a bit more vague, and it could have had a lot more room for open interpretation. I think that would have been fine too. And also, like, if it was mechanically a much tighter game, which it doesn't necessarily need to be, but if it was a more precise platformer, if it was a more punishing challenge to get through, then I might not be reading into or expecting more of the narrative aspects, because I'd be like, okay, well, this was the coat of paint you put on something that is more of a traversal skill challenge or something like that. But it's not really. It's like, there are a couple of points that, took a couple tries to get through, but none of it felt particularly challenging. Especially for how little you get knocked back if you get taken out. So yeah, the gameplay aspects are serviceable, but they just feel like they're kind of there to fill the space, which it puts all the emphasis on the narrative, which then has that went for the middle of the road option that doesn't quite get there for me. That having been said, like, I feel like it's mean to call this game pretentious, but it does kind of have that sort of makes you think kind of student film feel to it. But there's definitely a lot of skill and a lot of talent that went into it. So I know I've kind of spent most of this review pointing out my issues with it, but this is a very well put together game, and I think it had the potential to be something. It just doesn't quite get there. That said, if you find these kinds of very moody, atmospheric games, again, I think Limbo's a good comparison. If you find those games interesting or evocative, it might be worth a shot regardless. Maybe you'll get more out of it than I did. But yeah, White Shadows. Anybody played it? If you have, what'd you think about it? Whatever your thoughts are, drop something down in the comments. Let's talk about it. Patreon pays the bills and enables me to do this as my living. Even if you can't help me out that way, like, share, subscribe, all that helps. Don't worry too much about it, though. We take a relaxed attitude around here, so you can just come on back next time you need a break. And now to thank my highest supporting patrons: Robin Moore, Jared Boyce, Zubin Lutfula, Auntie Kate 808, Mira G, Angry Casperl, Dave Hall, Movie Turtle, Oliver B, Sean Miller, Welsh Wrestling Geeks, Melissa Pedersen, Mary Mello, Becky Sparks, Loki Eris, Tracy Scrabbit, Pal Barabajoggle, and Sir Didymus is my favorite. Don't worry, the rats are all fine, but my rat wrangler is not here right now, and I thought we could have Archie say hi. Or not.